Hi guys and girls, I'm going to show you a video and then walk you through some problems to teach you today about factor trees and using factor trees to find prime factorization. So here is the video that I'd like to share with you.
Hi, my name is Maria and I'm a mathematician, and today I'm going to show you how to use a factor tree to find the prime factorization of a number. So if we start with the number 50 and we want to find its prime factorization, the factor tree tells us to split this number 50 into two factors, and whichever two come to mind for you are fine. So if you think of 25 and 2, you can go ahead and write them. If you think of 5 and 10, you can write them. For me, I'm going to go ahead and write 5 and 10. Either way, no matter what you start with, we will end up with the same answer. Now, once you've broken the 50 up into two factors, you're looking for prime numbers. So if you see a number that is prime, like 5, you're going to circle it. And we know 5 is prime because it only has two factors, 1 and 5 itself. And now we're going to move on to the number 10 and split that into two factors. And the numbers I think of are 2 and 5. Now, 2 is prime, and so is 5. So since I've circled all of the numbers at the ends of my tree branches for my factor tree, I'm done breaking it down. And now what I do is, in order from least to greatest, I'm going to start writing the numbers down. So I have a 2, and since they're factors, it means we're multiplying them, times 5 times another 5, okay? The last step is just to take any factor that repeats itself and write it in exponential form. So this is the prime factorization in standard form, but we're going to write it in exponential form. So 5 times 5 is the same thing as 5 squared. So we're going to write 2 times 5 squared. And that is the prime factorization of 50. And that's how you use a factor tree to find the prime factorization.
Okay, so that last step that she showed us, using the exponents, is what we're going to focus on when we are in class today. So don't stress out about that. But I'm going to take you to a different screen now, and I'm going to turn on my hover cam, and I'm going to show you how to work some of these problems out. Unable to start because another hover cam is running. Ooh, well, let's close one and try again here. There we go. Okay, so I have the number 12. And what I want to do is I want to pick some factors that fit into 12, and I want to find factor pairs. So here I've chosen some different factor pairs of 12. And the purpose of this is to show you that it does not matter which factor pairs you start with, just like the lady in the video said. So here I have some different choices, and I'm just going to focus on 2 times 6 first, okay? So I chose 12 and I broke it into two factors to start my tree, and sometimes these end up looking like pine trees, students like to say. Now I have 2 and 6. If you see that you have a prime number right away, go ahead and circle that prime number. So I'm going to do that with my 2 because I know 2 is prime. Then I'm going to think, what two factors can I multiply together to get 6? And I'm going to break 6 down into those two factors. So I have 2 times 3. Now I know that 2 and 3 are also prime, so I'm going to go ahead and circle those. And my last step that I'm going to have you focus on today is just taking those prime numbers and writing them in numerical order, so number order, from least to greatest, using the multiplication signs in between. The reason we do that is because if you go back and multiply these together, 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 gets you 12. Okay? So if I look at my next one here, I can do 3 times 4 to get 12. So I know 3 is prime, 4 is not, so I have to think of two factors I can multiply to get 4, and I'm going to do 2 times 2. 2 is prime, circle it, 2 is prime, circle it, and then I'm going to write these factors in order from least to greatest. If it helps you, just like in the video, you can write down a 2 and cross it off from up above. Multiplication sign, write down the other 2, cross it off from above, and then write down your 3, cross it off from above. And what I want you to notice is you'll see the same string of factors in both of those problems that I just worked out, okay? It should not matter what two factor pairs you start with. You should end up with the same answer once you get finished finding all of your prime numbers. That's why we call it prime factorization. We're working with a string of factors that are all prime numbers. Now, I want to show you something interesting here. I could start with the two factors 1 times 12 to get 12. If I do that, this is what's going to happen. If I break this 12 apart again, let's say I want to do 1 times 12. And I break this apart again into 1 times 12. And I break it apart again into 1 times 12. And again into 1 times 12. Am I really breaking it down into any prime numbers or getting anywhere with this problem? No. I could keep going and going and going, and I'm still going to have 1 times 12, 1 times 12, 1 times 12, 1 times 12, and it's just taking up a lot of extra time. So my point is, don't use 1. Don't start with 1. Don't use 1. If our goal is to use prime numbers to get prime numbers in a factor string, then we don't want to use 1 because 1 is not prime. 1 is not prime or composite. Okay? Here's what I'm going to have you do now. I want you to try finding prime numbers, the prime factorization, with the number 24. And you can start by using any of these factor pairs. So try 2 times 12 and break it apart, 3 times 8 and break it apart, or 4 times 6 and break it apart. And pause the video, grab a piece of scrap paper and a pencil or marker like I'm using, colored pencil, whatever you have to write with, and take some time, work it out, just one of these ways. And then when you're ready, hit play. And I'm going to work these problems out, and then you can check and see how you did. So for real, do this. Pause the video. Okay, now that you hit play and you're back, let's do this. I started with 2 times 12 here. 2 is prime, circle it. For 12, I'm going to do 2 times 6. I have another prime number, circle it. For 6, I have 2 times 3. 2 is prime, 3 is prime. So here I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Here we go. With this one, 3 is prime. For 8, I'm going to do 2 times 4. 2 is prime. Break 4 down into 2 times 2. Circle it. I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. For this one, I'm going to break my 4 down into 2 times 2. Those are prime. Break my 6 down into 2 times 3. Those are prime. So I have 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. And if you would like a challenge, try finding the prime factorization of 100. Pause the video. Work out a factor tree for 100. Start with 2 factors you can multiply to get 100. Hit play when you're ready, and you can check your answers here. See how you did. Hopefully you did well. Hopefully you watched this video. It should help you with your IXL that you need to work on next, level GF3. If you have questions, watch this video again. Google videos on factor trees and prime factorization. There are tons of them that can help you. And there's also one that I'm posting in tomorrow's lesson that'll help you as well. Okay, thank you for watching.